Your 4 p.m. brain can't do 9 a.m. work, so stop treating it like it can. Have you ever decided you're going to do a workout when you got home from work? You're going to go to the gym and you had all these plans, and then by the time you got home, you sat down, you got comfortable, and then, next thing you know, you're like, I don't want to go, and then you don't go. Or you do go and you don't do a very good job, and you basically just wasted your energy. Well, your brain works the same way as your body. So if you don't schedule your calendar with how much energy you have in mind, your plans are always just going to fall off. So today we're going to map out your schedule related to the energy that you have, so you don't need willpower to push yourself through, just like that crappy workout. So we're going to turn your calendar into something that works with you, not against you. Real quick, if you're new here, hi, I'm Ryan. I started kineticplus because I was sick of living in reaction mode, and I know a lot of other people are as well. So if you're juggling, a career and your health and relationships and everything in between, and it's starting to slip, you're in the right place. I make these videos. Every video is going to give you one tool or system that you can implement immediately to give yourself more clarity and energy and structure and keep you kind of moving forward. If you want to go deeper, we have the kineticplus reset course that you can take that's going to help kind of build your baseline. And if you want more advanced work, you can take our foundations course. And then, of course, we have our newsletter that you're more than welcome to join, where we hand out sort of tips and tricks and systems once a week, again, to help keep you moving forward. Moving on. What are we working on today? Energy mapping. So if you plan your week and you still feel burnt out kind of halfway through, it's usually because you planned just tasks. And the truth is, your mind and body have peaks and valleys, where you're running at full power and then you're running on fumes. So we need to identify the times of day that you have full power and the times that you're running on fumes. And then we can kind of get to know where those things are, and we can build your day so it becomes sort of structural. We can get to know your energy windows, and then we can build them into blocks in a calendar, which I'm going to show you how to do. First, we need to identify your energy map. Where's the peaks and valleys? And the weekly layout structure. This is my weekly layout structure. These are 4 different columns, one for time, one for tasks, one for a block key, and one for notes. The way you're going to fill this out is you're going to take it for your entire day. Not just work day, your entire day, from morning to night. It's actually interesting to figure out, especially if you're hanging out with friends and you feel really drained after, and you maybe think, it's just the end of the day, I'm so tired. And then once you map this out for a while, you start to realize maybe it's not that it's the end of the day that you're so tired, maybe it's for the person that you're hanging out with. But that's something different, I'll let you deal with that. So you're gonna map out your entire day with whatever task or activity that you're doing. In this example, driving to work, then there's a board meeting 9 to 10, then there's lunch with Alex, then there's another team meeting, blah, 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 all the way through your day. And in the notes over here, you're gonna write how you felt. So you felt good, you felt bad, you had a good sleep, you're feeling good. This board meeting was super draining and exhausted. Then you went to lunch, but after lunch you felt refreshed. Then you had a team meeting, blah, blah, blah. How did you feel? You're gonna write that down in here. After every task or activity, not just meeting, you're going to relate this legend down here at the bottom to whatever block or key that it relates to. So for example, a board meeting is deep work, okay? Deep work is uninterrupted execution on high value tasks. That's something that's going to take some deep focus. That's going to be the most draining part of your day. We know that. And lo and behold, you felt drained and exhausted. Now, obviously, this is just an example, but you're going to write this down and figure out how it is. Focus blocks are a little bit different. The focus ones are more things that are strategic work, planning, big picture thinking, but focus blocks are more like stuff that's difficult if you weren't trained in doing it. So it's probably something that you do every single day that requires attention and focus and sort of mental capacity, but it's something you could also be interrupted in, and it's not that big of a deal. You can kind of just get back to work. That should be your focus block. Then we have flex space. Flex space is more like time that you don't have specifically structured, but anything could kind of fit in there, okay? Admin and email, pretty self-explanatory. Margin time, so this is built-in slack time between your meetings. We talk about this in another video. If you haven't seen that video, you should check it out. It's called the Weekly Blueprint. We talk about margin time. We also talk about anchors, which we're going to talk about in here. And then your free time. Free time is, having wine with my friends or whatever it is. So that you're going to fill this out and you're going to do it for an entire week. And then what you're going to do is you're going to line up all those days and you're going to look and you're going to see a pattern, and you're going to realize, holy, at this time I'm always drained, and at this time I feel really good. And then we know where we can stack in the things that you need more energy to deal with and the things that you don't need more energy to deal with, the things that are easier. This is where it becomes structural. So know your energy windows, and then you can convert them into blocks on your calendar. So let's look at how to do that. So this is a basic Google Calendar. You can kind of do this on any calendar, really. I use this one, this Google Calendar, but it syncs to my Apple Calendar, and I know that Apple Calendar can do it as well. You're going to build in your anchors first. If you don't know what anchors are, you got to watch the weekly blueprint. But anchors are 3 identity shaping, repeatable, non-negotiable, grounding things that you're going to have in your day. There's something that fill your bucket. There's something that you should look forward to on a daily basis. They don't move. They stay in your calendar, and you build your day around them. Then you're going to put in your deep work. We already talked about what the deep work means, but you're going to put in your calendar where deep work works for you, where you have the most amount of energy. So you can move these around. This is a calendar. This is not an event. I titled it Deep Work in my calendar, but I can change the name to whatever I want. So you can have this as a daily calendar every day, and then you know where your deep work windows are. You also know where your focus blocks are. You're going to know where your flex blocks are, and you're going to know where admin can go. Your recovery, certainly you need to know when you're going to eat, when you're going to have some water, when you're going to go for a walk. That's kind of some me time. And then obviously you need your margin time between before and after every meeting. Again, if you don't know about margin time, you got to watch the weekly blueprint video. Behind anchors, margin time is probably the second most important part. You need to be able to prepare for a meeting, and you need to be able to, not necessarily meeting, but you need to prepare for an activity or task or meeting. You need to be able to process that meeting, and then you need to be able to prepare for the next one. And if you just stack your meetings back to back to back, you're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to feel drained immediately, and you're not going to know which part is draining you because you haven't had any time to process. You also aren't giving the next meeting the concentration or energy that it deserves because you're probably still thinking about the other meeting. So you're going to stack these pieces together week after week so that you're not just planning a calendar, but you're building your own sort of personal operating system. And that takes you from reacting to a to-do list to actually running your work in the form of a rhythm. So here's your homework. You're going to map out your energy curve. You're going to mark your peaks, you're going to mark your valleys, then you're going to line up your deep work and your focus blocks and your recovery to match. And if you want, you can download the dead simple kineticplus starter pack below. It includes the weekly blueprint, the weekly layout structure that we just went through here. It includes anchors, and it includes a focus map, and it includes a system reset audit, which is just a simple one-page little questionnaire if you want to fill out that will kind of point you in the direction that you may want to go with some of the products that we offer. If nothing else, be sure to join the newsletter. We're going to send out some tips, some tricks, some systems and stuff like this every week to help keep you moving forward. That's it. See you in the next one.